Time now for Consumer Confidential with LA Times columnist David Lazarus.
He joins us live from the Times newsroom in downtown Los Angeles, looking pretty and plumb. Hi, David. We were talking.
Not handsome, pretty.
Pretty.
Yeah.
We were talking earlier. We heard your tease about these emoticons possibly being racially diverse now, but some people are saying it's kind of weird as well. Can you explain?
Yeah, and it's let's get our terminology right. It's not emoticons. Those are the little punctuation marks you use.
Yes.
Emojis, exactly.
Emojis.
And those are the little picture shorthand that people use. I'm not really an emoji kind of guy. I'm not really an emoticon kind of guy. It seems to me if you can't express it in words, you're not expressing it. Nevertheless, a lot of people use these things. Apple has been under fire because they haven't had enough diversity apparently in their emojis. Basically, they've been white. Now they've introduced emojis that run the gamut. You can affect the skin tone. However, there is no overtly Asian emojis, say the critics, but there are yellow-faced emojis. Some are saying, oh, is that a yellow-faced Asian emoji? And the answer to that is no, of course it isn't. It's more like a Simpsons emoji. In other words, race neutral. There is no race whatsoever. There's a lot of precedent for this. I mean, think of the smiley face, have a nice day. Yellow, again, race neutral. Also, Google has similar sorts of things for the Android system. Personally, I think eliminating race from emojis altogether, not a bad idea. Have them all be yellow and just kind of make your point without making other points as well. Just saying.
My favorite emoji, I don't know if you've ever seen it, it's the one that's smoking a cigarette. That's my favorite one for some reason. It's with an attitude. Really?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Consumer Reports has a new list of the best and the worst car brands, and what was the criteria for this?
Well, what's interesting about this list, Glenn, it's not just about reliability, it's not just about how fun it is to drive, it's about the whole kit and caboodle. So it's a grab bag of things. The car must be pleasant to drive, it must be enjoyable, but it also has to have a good reliability record. And so when you chart it like that, you get an interesting lineup. And America doesn't face as well as it could. Top of that list would be Lexus, followed by Mazda, then Toyota, then Audi, then Subaru. The only American make on the top 10, according to Consumer Reports, would be Buick. The rest of the top 10, well, you're still talking about the Asian and European models. At the bottom of the list, Fiat, interestingly enough. How the mighty are fallen. I mean, that's an Italian model that once upon a time was kind of fun to drive, not so much now. Also, Mini and Jeep coming in near the bottom of the list, too. I think more in those cases because of reliability as opposed to fun to drive.
David, the deadline is nearing for tax day, and a lot of people are preparing for their taxes. You're supposed to be. I think you're not working on it as much.
I'm getting there.
You're getting there, me
I'm
too.
Getting there.
But a lot of people may be relieved to know that their chances of being audited, it's really low. Does that mean that maybe we don't have to do our taxes?
No, you got to do them.
Oh,
just
God,
means you
I
can
hope
cheat.
not.
Maybe get away with it.
Yeah. First of all, Glenn.
Yeah.
Do your taxes. All right. Just say. All right. Now, second
next Sunday's blocked out.
Okay. Now here's the headline number. Your chances of being audited are they're basically at their lowest level in a decade. According to the IRS, there is a less than 1% chance of anybody being audited, and we haven't seen as low a number as that since 2004. Why is the chance so low? Because Congress has been hacking up the IRS's budget to the tune of more than $1 billion lost since 2010. That's more than 2,000 IRS agents lost just in the past few years alone, thousands more over preceding years. They just don't have enough people to do audits, and as a result, across every income bracket, your chances of an audit are considerably lower. So on the individual level, sure, that's great. None of us want to be audited. That sounds terrific. But on the group level, that's really bad news because let's face it, to keep the machinery of the municipality running, you need tax revenue coming in. You might not agree with how all of it's spent, but the simple fact is bridges, roads, highways, hospitals, police forces, a lot of that, it takes tax money. And if it's not coming in or if people are cheating, Glenn?
Yeah, well, I'm just kidding about the cheating. But
we have real problems.
Also want to point out that the federal government took in record revenues every quarter last year. So, I think they're doing okay. They are doing just fine.
Yeah, we're also running deficits at the same time. So clearly, we might be bringing in record revenues, but we are not necessarily balancing the books.
All right.
Well, yeah, no kidding. And whose fault is that? Well, that's another conversation.
Womp.
All right. If you got a consumer-related question, you can now ask Laz yourself. Just send an email to asklaz@latimes.com.
Laz, we'll see you at 3 o'clock.